Welcome to this deep dive. We're getting stuck into something genuinely surprising from the Formula One weekend at Imola. Carlos Sainz Williams, 6th place in qualifying.
Yeah, 6th place. Which, okay, sounds decent enough.
Right, but hang on. He put that Williams ahead of both Ferraris?
Yeah.
At Imola. LECLERC was way down in 11th, Hamilton 12th. And he was also ahead of a Red Bull and a Mercedes.
Alu Williams, it definitely makes you sit up, doesn't it? That's the kind of result we haven't seen consistently from them in a long time.
Exactly. So today, we're diving into that performance. We're looking at reports from, various F1 blogs, really digging into what Sainz himself said after qualifying at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
And our mission really is to understand why. Why is Sainz suddenly looking so strong in that Williams? What's he saying about it? What does it tell us about Williams's progress? And inevitably, how does it stack up against Ferrari's weekend, especially, at their home race?
Okay, so 6th on the grid. But he even topped the timesheets for a bit in Q2, the second part of qualifying.
Which is pretty significant. Q2 is where things really start getting serious. Fastest drivers fighting for those top 10 spots. It shows genuine pace, not just a lucky lap.
And this wasn't just a one-off flash, was it? Sainz himself pointed out this is like the 4th race running he's been ahead of at least one Red Bull or Mercedes.
And the 2nd race in a row ahead of both Ferraris in qualifying. That's becoming a bit of a pattern, isn't it?
It really is. It suggests something more sustainable is happening there, both with him getting comfortable and maybe the car improving too.
He certainly thinks so. He mentioned that his lap in Q2 at Imola, that specific lap, was actually his best lap ever for Williams. Better even than his final Q3 lap in Miami a couple of weeks earlier.
Wow. Okay, so Q2 faster than a previous Q3 lap. That suggests they really unlocked something at Imola, or maybe he's just getting more and more dialed in.
Could be a bit of both. But he also felt, interestingly, that they left something on the table. P6 wasn't even the maximum, apparently.
Oh, really? What happened?
Well, he talked about Q3, the final session, being a bit messy. Said he hit traffic, Gasly and Antonelli, I think you mentioned.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Can ruin a lap easily.
Exactly. Said his tires overheated because of it. And his quote was something like, we could have been 5th if we'd done the perfect job.
5th? So
Yeah.
he's not just happy with P6, he's already thinking about where that extra 10th came from. That's ambitious for Williams right now.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it, about his focus, his drive. It's not just about beating Ferrari for him, it seems. It's about getting everything possible out of that Williams car week in, week out.
And you get the sense he really believes in the team now. He had that quote, didn't he? Something like, I don't care about the other teams, only mine, and mine is moving forward.
Yeah, pretty blunt. Strong words. Shows real buy-in to the whole Williams project. He seems convinced they're on the right track.
Does he say why they're moving forward?
He puts it down to teamwork, basically.
Yeah.
And his own input. He feels his feedback on the setup is helping steer them in the right direction, finding what works for the car.
Makes sense. Driver feedback is crucial.
And he highlighted the trend. He said, look, beginning of the year, Australia, they were scraping into Q3. Suzuka, they were knocked out early. Now they're consistently in Q3.
And not just in Q3, but as we said, beating some big names.
Exactly. Beating a Red Bull, a Mercedes, both Ferraris in the last couple of races. That's a definite upward curve.
It almost sounds like he's pleasantly surprised himself.
A little bit, yeah. He actually joked, or maybe half joked, that if someone had told him before the season started that Williams would be performing like this, well, he wouldn't have believed them quite so much.
That's quite an admission.
And he even apparently said he would have signed the Williams contract sooner if he'd known how good the car would turn out to be this year.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive vote of confidence. It speaks to maybe an underestimated potential there, or perhaps just a really good working relationship developing quickly.
Seems like it. He used the phrase, operating at a very high level, him and the team together, suggests things are really clicking behind the scenes.
Which inevitably brings us back to Ferrari, their home race. Huge expectations. And then 11th and 12th. Didn't even make Q3.
Oof. Yeah, the contrast couldn't be much starker, could it? Sainz in the supposedly slower Williams, sailing into Q3 and grabbing P6, while his old team struggles just to get out of Q2.
And like you said, 2nd race in a row, he's out-qualified them. 4th race, he's beaten a Merc or Red Bull car.
You have to wonder what's going on there. Sainz himself sounded a bit surprised, quoted as saying, I wasn't expecting it to be ahead of the Ferraris for the 2nd race in a row.
Does it raise questions about Ferrari's setup choices or maybe even the dynamic now with Hamilton coming in next year?
It's bound to, isn't it? When your former driver is consistently outperforming you in what should be, on paper, a slower car, well, doesn't look great. especially at home. You wonder about the pressure, the internal mood.
Definitely something to watch. But Sainz, despite clearly enjoying beating his old team, seems quite grounded about Williams' overall position. He's not talking about winning races just yet.
No, not at all. He was pretty clear that podiums are still very large, was his phrase, I think. A big ask.
Why? Just car speed or other things too?
Both, it sounds like. He mentioned speed, obviously, but also operational aspects. He pointed to Q3 in Miami and even this Q3 in Imola as moments where things weren't perfectly smooth operationally.
So things like pit stops, strategy calls under pressure, getting the tires in the window at exactly the right moment in qualifying, that sort of stuff.
Precisely. The little details that the top teams consistently nail. He knows they still have work to do there before they can realistically fight for podiums regularly.
So the focus is more on just banking solid points.
Yeah, he said he prefers to consolidate good points in a complete Grand Prix. Build the foundation first, get those consistent finishes, iron out the operational kinks. It's a very pragmatic approach.
Sensible. But you sense the optimism's growing.
Oh, definitely. He threw in a little comment about the gap to the front runners, saying, they're maybe 3 or 4 tenths off now.
Which is still a gap, but...
But, as he added, if you told me that a year ago, implying that gap has shrunk considerably, it shows he believes they are genuinely closing in, even if there's still a way to go.
Interesting. And quickly, what about race strategy? Any clues from qualifying? Imola is always tricky for overtaking.
Well, tire strategy is key. Sainz mentioned his team decided to save a new set of the medium tires for the race.
Okay, whereas some others might have used their best tires in qualifying.
Exactly. He mentioned Alonso, for instance, used his new mediums in Q2, potentially helping his qualifying lap, but maybe hurting his race options slightly.
So Williams are gambling on having that fresher medium tire for a longer or faster first stint in the race.
Seems like it. Sainz admitted he actually wanted to use the new mediums in qualifying, presumably for maximum grip, but the team overruled him, thinking long-term for the race. Sunday will tell if that was the right call.
Always a gamble. And the soft tires. Any word on those?
He called them indecipherable, but added, the image is real. So, sounds like they're tricky to understand, maybe unpredictable over a race distance, but the data they have is what they have to work with. Managing those softs could be crucial for everyone.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, Carlos Sainz, quite a statement performance in Imola, qualifying for Williams, P6, ahead of both Ferraris, a Merc, a Red Bull. It really highlights his own form, how well he's adapting.
And also, crucially, the very real progress Williams seems to be making. It's not just talk. They're putting results on the board. His comments show confidence, but also realism about where they still need to improve.
And for you listening, hopefully, this gives you a deeper perspective than just the headline result. It's about driver mindset, team dynamics, strategy calls, the whole picture behind that qualifying timesheet.
Absolutely. It shows how all those elements have to come together in F1.
And it leaves you with a final thought, maybe. How much difference does the environment make for a driver? Sainz seems rejuvenated at Williams. Does Ferrari need to look at its own internal situation?
Yeah, it really underlines that human factor, doesn't it? Even in such a high-tech sport.
No.
What drives performance isn't just the car.
Definitely not. We'll have to see how he converts this in the race, but it certainly set things up nicely. Make sure you join us next time for another deep dive.